Chosen one. Heaven itself paused for you. Do you grasp the weight of that? Out of all the noise, the movements of nations, the cries of millions, there was a moment when your voice pierced through and the throne room grew still, not because you were loud, not because you were seen by men, but because, in the silence of your own heart, you made a choice, and that choice shook heaven. You thought it was small. Maybe it was a prayer whispered through tears. Maybe it was the decision to forgive when bitterness begged you to hold on. Maybe it was the courage to get up one more time after falling. But to heaven, that was thunder. Angels leaned closer. Demons lost ground. The Father's eyes turned toward you with delight. You have always been different. The pressures you faced, the storms you endured, the loneliness you carried, it was not punishment. It was proof. Proof that you carry a light weighty enough to draw the attention of darkness. Proof that you are chosen to stand where others could not. Picture a locked gate in the middle of a deserted city. The streets are silent. The buildings crumbling. People walk past, thinking the gate leads nowhere. But you are the keeper of the key. And when you choose to turn it, whole generations will walk through what others dismissed as useless. That is why your decision matters. That is why heaven shakes when you act in faith. The apostle wrote these words in his letter of James, chapter 5, verse 16. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. This is your reality. Every hidden prayer you've released, even the ones you thought vanished into empty air, became waves that rippled into eternity. That one whisper you made in weakness was thunder in the spirit. That one act of surrender bent the strategies of hell, and that one moment of faith stirred heaven itself into motion. There was once a chosen one like you who endured a long season of waiting. Everyone around him mocked. They said his dreams were foolish, that his calling was empty. Yet he held on. He prayed when no one else was watching. He kept believing when doors slammed shut. Years later, when breakthrough finally came, it came so suddenly that people asked, where did this strength come from? They did not see the hidden battles. They did not hear the prayers whispered in the night. But heaven saw, and heaven shook. So it is with you. Every hidden yes has been recorded. Every tear has been gathered. Every time you rose again, though weary, you sent ripples into eternity. You are not unseen. You are not forgotten. You are a carrier of sound, of light, of destiny. And now I turn to you with an open invitation. If this word has stirred something inside you, do not keep it buried. Share it, like it, subscribe not for me, but as a prophetic act that says, I align with heaven's call over my life. I will not hide what God is doing in me. And before this moment closes, I ask you to leave a comment with the number 777. This is not superstition, it is declaration. Heaven records faith. And sometimes a simple step in the natural releases breakthrough in the spiritual. Write it as your seal. Heaven has paused for me, and I agree. I, chosen one. The gates are before you, and the key is in your hand. Heaven is already trembling at your obedience. Now, let earth hear your response. Chosen one. Pause for a moment and truly breathe this in. You are not standing at the edge of nothing. You are standing at the threshold of everything. What once looked like silence was actually preparation. What once felt like delay was divine timing, shaping your heart for this very hour. Think of the seed buried in the soil. It looks forgotten, pressed down by darkness, surrounded by weight. Yet beneath the surface, it is splitting open, roots stretching, life stirring, and one day, without warning, it bursts through the ground with strength that no storm can stop. That seed is you, your hidden prayers, your quiet obedience, your tears. All of them are roots pushing deep. Heaven has already marked the moment when you will rise. So do not despise the hidden season. Do not curse the waiting. For heaven is not only watching, it is recording. And when you step forward in faith, earth and heaven together will echo your name. Chosen one. Your story is far from over. In fact, it is only beginning. Chosen one. The unseen weight you carried was never ignored. Every silent burden, every restless night, every moment you questioned if you could take one more step, it was all laid bare before the throne. You may have thought no one saw, that your pain dissolved into the dark, but heaven recorded it all. There is a chamber in heaven where your tears have been stored like jewels. Each drop, each sigh, each groan too deep for words, has been placed in vessels of remembrance. The psalmist once declared that God keeps track of sorrows, collecting every tear in his bottle, writing each one in his book. This is not poetic exaggeration, it is reality. Heaven has never turned its face from your struggle. Think of the mountain climber making the ascent. To those below, it looks like progress is slow, almost invisible, but every small step digs into stone. Every reach pulls them higher. They may be scratched, bruised, bloodied, yet with every inch they are nearer the peak. That is how heaven saw you climbing in silence, carrying weight you thought might break you, but still moving, still pressing forward. You often believed that because others did not notice, God had turned away. But it was the opposite. When people walked past you, dismissing your pain, the Lord himself leaned in closer. The unseen weight you carried became the very proof of your chosen status. Ordinary souls cannot bear such pressure. But you, marked one, bore it and endured. And by enduring, you proved yourself faithful. There is a story of a young man who carried years of rejection. Friends betrayed him. Family misunderstood him. Opportunities slipped through his fingers like sand. Each loss pressed on him like a stone, until he wondered if he was cursed. Yet heaven saw differently. Every rejection became a shield, steering him away from paths that would have destroyed him. Every betrayal carved depth into his spirit, and when his appointed time arrived, he carried wisdom, strength, and clarity that no one else could match. What felt like weight was actually preparation. So it is with you. The unseen battles, the heaviness that bent your shoulders, were not curses. They were chisels, and each strike shaped you into a vessel strong enough to hold glory. Consider the diamond, hidden deep in the earth, pressed by unimaginable force. For centuries it sits unseen, carrying the crushing weight of rock, and yet that very pressure is what creates its brilliance. Without the weight, there is no gem. Without the struggle, there is no shine. The heaviness you endured was heaven's tool to reveal your brilliance. Chosen one. This is why you often felt misunderstood. You were carrying a load others could not see, nor could they comprehend. They judged you by what their eyes perceived, never realizing you were walking with invisible chains of purpose around your soul. But heaven knew, heaven honored, heaven wrote it down. The ancient words recorded in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 18, declare, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. These words breathe directly into your story. The weight you carried is not the end. It is the preparation for glory that will outshine every pain. Think of your journey as a song. At times it seemed off-key, broken, interrupted by silence. But when heaven hears it, each note of pain, each pause of waiting, forms a melody of rare beauty. What the world dismissed as noise, heaven celebrated as music. Chosen one, the unseen weight you carried has already shifted atmospheres. You may not realize it, but your endurance has kept storms from consuming others. Your hidden prayers have lifted burdens off those you never met. Your secret battles became walls of protection for people who did not even know your name. Heaven shook, not only because of what you did for yourself, but because of what your obedience preserved for many. Now, as you breathe in this truth, let your heart release the idea that your suffering was meaningless. Nothing was wasted. Every moment under the weight was written into eternity's record. One day, you will see how the heaviness became a crown. And when that day comes, you will understand why heaven paused in awe at what you carried in silence. And when that crown is placed upon your head, every hidden season will make sense. The weight you thought would bury you will become the very testimony that lifts others. The heavens did not shake in vain. They shook because your perseverance became a beacon, a sign to generations that unseen battles can birth eternal glory. Chosen one, you have walked through valleys where rejection clung to you like a cloak. Friends turned away, family misunderstood, opportunities slipped through your hands as if you were invisible. And you asked yourself, why always me? Why does it feel like I'm pushed aside while others are welcomed? But what you did not see is that rejection was never meant to destroy you. It was the fingerprint of heaven marking you as different, set apart, distinct. For the stone that builders reject often becomes the cornerstone, and the voices that dismissed you did not realize they were confirming your identity as chosen. Think of a precious violin locked in a dusty attic. To the careless eye, it looks ordinary, another instrument to be discarded. Yet, in the right hands, its sound shakes hearts and shifts atmospheres. That is you. The rejection was only humanity failing to recognize the treasure they were holding. But heaven knew. Heaven called you valuable long before the world overlooked you. The word of God shines through the writings in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 27. God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. You see, every time someone dismissed you, every time you felt unworthy, heaven was whispering, this is proof you are chosen. For if you were meant to blend in, you would have been celebrated like the rest. Instead, you were set apart, preserved for a greater unveiling. There was a woman whose dreams were mocked. Her peers told her she was wasting her time. Family told her she would fail. Doors closed again and again. Yet in her secret place, she clung to God's voice that said, hold on, Years later, when her gift finally emerged, the same ones who doubted were stunned. They realized rejection had been her preparation, and the silence had sharpened her hearing for heaven's instructions. Chosen one. Rejection is not abandonment, it is alignment. Heaven was never surprised by the ones who walked away from you. Their departure created space for the right ones to arrive. Their silence created room for you to hear God's voice more clearly. Their dismissal carved out deeper roots of resilience inside you. So take this moment and declare it openly. Write in the comments, "Rejection fuels me." These 3 words are more than a statement, they are a banner. They turn pain into fire, wounds into weapons, dismissal into determination. When you type them, you are not denying the rejection you faced. You are proclaiming that rejection has become your fuel, not your grave. And let this truth settle in you now. Rejection was redirection. The very moments you thought were endings were actually the doors guiding you into purpose. Heaven shook because while others counted you out, God was counting you in. While others turned their backs, He was preparing a table before you. Chosen one. Your story is not defined by those who walked away. It is defined by the one who has never left your side. Lift your head. Let your heart breathe. What you thought was loss is about to be revealed as gain, and heaven will roar again at the sound of your rising. And hear this clearly. Chosen one. Rejection does not prove your lack of worth, it proves your separation for a higher call. If the world had fully embraced you, you would have been tempted to settle in places that could never contain your destiny. The rejection that broke your heart was actually protection over your future. It was God's way of saying, "I will not let you fit into spaces beneath your calling." Oh, think of Joseph, sold by his brothers, thrown into a pit, forgotten in a prison, to everyone else. It looked like rejection, yet heaven called it positioning, for without that rejection, he would never have stood in the palace where his destiny waited. What looked like abandonment was in truth divine redirection. So when you declare, "Rejection fuels me," you are embracing this truth. What tried to suffocate you has only added oxygen to your fire. You are no longer defined by those who left, but by the one who stayed. You are no longer weakened by rejection, but strengthened, refined, and propelled by it. Your scars will not be your shame. They will be your evidence. And the sound of heaven shaking over your life is proof that your rejection was never the end, but the beginning of something greater. Chosen one. Your obedience echoed upward. You may have thought it was small, too quiet, too ordinary to matter. A whispered yes, a simple act of kindness, a moment when you chose faith over fear, even though no one else noticed. But heaven noticed your obedience, though silent on earth, rang like a trumpet in the unseen realm. You see, obedience is not measured by applause. It is measured by alignment. Every time you aligned your will with God's will, you stepped into a rhythm that resonated with heaven itself. Angles moved. Assignments shifted. Strategies of darkness were interrupted, all because you chose to obey in a moment that seemed insignificant. Think of the ripple on a pond. A single stone dropped into still water creates circles that extend far beyond where it first entered. Your obedience works the same way. A small prayer you prayed may have softened someone's hardened heart across the world. A single decision to forgive may have disarmed generational bitterness that would have consumed your family. A quiet moment of surrender became thunder in realms unseen. The ancient words of Deuteronomy, chapter 5, verse 33, carry a promise. Walk in obedience to all that the Lord your God has commanded you, so that you may live and prosper and prolong your days in the land that you will possess. And do you see it? Obedience does not only bless you, it blesses your land, your generations, your future. Your yes today creates space for tomorrow's victories. This is why heaven shook, because every echo of obedience carried consequences that eternity will never forget. There was once a man who wrestled with obedience. He felt God's call tugging at his heart, but fear and doubt pressed against him. One night, in the quiet, he finally said, "Yes, Lord, I will go." That single act unlocked doors he could not have imagined. Families were restored, hearts were healed, lives were saved, not because he was perfect, but because he chose to obey. Heaven still remembers his yes. Your story is not so different. Every time you obeyed when it would have been easier to quit, you shifted something. Every hidden act of surrender broke chains you could not see. Even your smallest yes thundered louder than the enemy's threats. Heaven heard it, darkness felt it, and eternity recorded it. Think of a lighthouse in the storm. It does not shout or move from its place. It simply shines, faithful and steady. And in that obedience, it saves ships from wreckage they never saw coming. Your obedience is a light like that. Others may never know the danger they were spared because you stood firm. But heaven knows, and heaven shakes when light stands against darkness. Chosen one, your obedience has never been wasted, even when results seemed delayed, even when you wondered if God saw, even when silence stretched longer than you hoped. Heaven was already echoing with the sound of your faithfulness, and the echoes reached farther than you could ever imagine. There will come a day when you see what your yes unlocked. You will see the faces of those who were saved because you prayed. You will hear the testimonies of those freed because you forgave. You will watch the fruit of generations walking in light because you said yes when it was hardest to obey. So, understand this truth. Obedience is not about one moment. It is about eternal echoes. Every choice you made in alignment with God did not vanish, it multiplied. The ripple of obedience does not end until heaven's story is complete. Chosen one, hold this close to your heart. Your obedience may feel small, but in heaven's eyes, it has shaken realms. The sound of your yes has already carved highways for grace to run. And one day, when the full story is revealed, you will see that your obedience was not just heard, it was celebrated. And perhaps this is the mystery. Chosen one, that what you thought was silence was actually heaven's applause disguised. Every unseen yes became a spark, added to an eternal flame. The kingdom of darkness trembled, not because of loud declarations, but because of quiet, steady obedience that refused to bend. One day, when the curtain is lifted, you will realize how far the sound of your obedience traveled. It was not just about you, it was about nations, about children yet unborn, about destinies that would never have opened without your surrender. Heaven shook because your obedience became a bridge, a lifeline, a doorway, and as long as your yes resounds, the echoes will continue until eternity itself sings back to you, "Well done, Len, chosen one." Do you feel it? the trembling that ran through the unseen when you refused to quit. Hell itself shuddered when you stood, even with trembling knees, even with weary breath. Darkness had written the script of your collapse. But instead, you chose to rise. And when you rose, heaven roared. This is why your life is not ordinary. Every time you keep going when it would be easier to stop, you declare war against the shadows. Every small victory you claim becomes a trumpet blast in eternity. It may not look like much to others, but in the unseen, your persistence is an earthquake. Think of a candle lit in a cavern. The walls are wide, the shadows thick. Yet one flame pushes back darkness that has ruled for centuries. That is you. Your light has burned stubbornly where shadows tried to reign. You did not let the flame die. And now it has begun to spread. The prophet wrote long ago in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 7, "The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him." You have trusted him, even when everything pressed against you. And because of that trust, your obedience has turned caves into sanctuaries. But listen, chosen one, this flame is not just for you. It is for others still trapped in darkness, waiting for light to find them. The word spoken here is part of that flame, carrying warmth, direction, and hope. And if your heart has been strengthened by it, I want to invite you gently, freely, without pressure, to consider how you can help the flame spread further. When you like and share this word, you are holding the torch higher, allowing someone else in the shadows to catch sight of hope. When you subscribe, you are saying, "I will walk with this light. I will not let it flicker away from me." And when you give, if you feel led, it is like adding oil to the lamp. You are not buying light, you are fueling its reach, ensuring that more souls who are stumbling can see again. Imagine a well in a desert. One person drinks and finds life. But when others help to draw water, the well serves a whole village. That is what giving does. It turns a sip into a stream into a river. It is not obligation, it is overflow. And it only happens if you feel it in your heart. Some of you may not be able to give financially, and that is perfectly fine. Your presence here, your comments, your prayers, your simple, yes, all of it is part of the light. But for those who do feel stirred, know this: when you pour into the work of spreading light, you are partnering with heaven's roar. There was once a chosen one who felt small, unseen, and overlooked, yet she had a single coin in her hand. Others mocked her offering, saying it was too little to matter. But heaven saw differently. That coin became a symbol of faith that outlived empires. What matters is never the size of the gift, it is the heart behind it. So, I extend this invitation to you. If this message has spoken to you, if it has kept your flame alive, then consider holding it up for someone else. Like and share. It is as if you are lifting a lantern higher on a dark street, guiding another wanderer home. Subscribe not as routine, but as planting a flag that says, "I choose to walk in light continually." And if your heart feels stirred, donate not because you must, but because it is like pouring oil into a lighthouse lamp, ensuring the beam stretches farther across the stormy sea. Some will only ever see the shoreline because someone else kept the fire burning. You may be that keeper of the fire today. Chosen one. Never forget, Your persistence shakes hell. Your faith stirs heaven. And your generosity fuels the flame that will burn until shadows are no more. And remember, chosen one, the flame you guard today may become the very light that saves someone tomorrow. What you pass along, whether through words, through prayer, through support, travels farther than you realize. A single spark carried by the wind can ignite a forest. In the same way, your willingness to keep the fire alive has power to awaken hearts you may never meet in this lifetime. So let your light remain steady. Let it burn with hope, with courage, with generosity, for heaven is watching. And the echoes of your faithfulness are shaping futures. Hell trembled because you did not stop. Heaven roared because you refused to hide your flame. Chosen one, do you realize that heaven has engraved something on you that cannot be erased? It is not written with ink, nor carved by human hands. It is a seal of the Spirit, a prophetic mark upon your life that announces, "This one belongs to me." You have carried it even when you did not know it was there. That is why doors opened where none should have. That is why attacks came when you least expected them. The seal upon your spirit is like a crown in the invisible, visible to heaven and terrifying to hell. Think of a royal document sealed with wax. To the ordinary eye, it may look like a simple letter, but the seal tells the truth. It carries the authority of a king. That is you. On the outside, you may look like anyone else, but in the spirit, you bear a seal that darkness cannot counterfeit. According to the writings in the book of Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 13, when you believed, you were marked in him with a seal, the promised Holy Spirit. This is why your life has felt unusual. Chosen one, you were marked. When others wandered aimlessly, heaven was already directing your steps. When others blended in, your spirit stood out. You were never meant to disappear into the crowd. You were meant to shine as proof of divine ownership. There was a young man who carried this seal without realizing it. He often wondered why people treated him differently, why he could not get away with the same compromises others enjoyed. But when storms came, and he leaned into God instead of despair, he discovered the truth. His life had been marked by heaven from the very beginning, and the battles he faced were only confirmation of that mark. So it is with you. That prophetic number engraved upon you is not superstition, it is declaration. Heaven has written it, and no one can blot it out. The enemy sees it and trembles, because he knows your story ends in victory. Think of a lighthouse again. Ships lost in stormy waters may doubt where the shore is, but the seal of light in the distance guides them home. You carry that seal. You are the lighthouse in storms others cannot survive. And though you may not see how many are watching, heaven knows how many lives your light has redirected. Chosen one, I want to invite you to declare this seal today, not in silence, but in agreement with heaven. Leave a comment with the number 4444. Why this number? Because 4 is often seen as a number of foundations, stability, and the 4 winds that carry God's purposes across the earth. When you write it, you are saying, I am grounded, I am sealed, I will not be moved. End of data. Do not take this lightly. Writing 4444 is not typing digits. It is aligning your spirit with the truth that your life carries heaven's imprint. It is you declaring to yourself, to the unseen, and to the generations after you. I belong to the King. I carry his seal. And one day, when all is revealed, you will see how many times this seal protected you, how many battles it won before you even knew they began, how many angels rallied around you because you bore the sign of divine ownership. Heaven shook the day you believed, and heaven still trembles at the sound of your seal today. Chosen one, wear it boldly. Walk as one already marked, and never forget the roar of heaven is behind you, and the trembling of hell is beneath you, because of the seal you carry. Chosen one. Think about how seals worked in ancient kingdoms. A messenger could walk into hostile territory with only a piece of parchment. Enemies might laugh at him, but when they saw the king's seal pressed into the wax, the laughter stopped. The messenger was untouchable, not because of his strength, but because of who stood behind him. That is your life. You walk through valleys, you stand in storms, and you are often underestimated, but the seal on you declares to every power of darkness, do not touch. This one belongs to the King. Inda. So when you feel weak, remember, the authority is not in you, it is in the one who sealed you. When rejection burns, when battles rage, remind yourself, the seal still holds. Even if the parchment is crumpled, even if the ink fades, the seal remains, and heaven shakes. Not because of your appearance, but because of the mark you carry. Chosen one. There is a book in heaven that bears your name, not written with fragile ink, not bound with paper that fades, but inscribed by the very hand of God. And in that book, there is a ledger, an account of grace, mercy, and love poured over your life. You may have seen only your failures, but heaven has recorded redemption. You may have remembered only your weakness, but heaven has documented strength. When you fell, you thought the page was stained forever, yet heaven turned the pen, and instead of blotting your name out, it wrote, covered. You thought your mistakes disqualified you, but heaven wrote, paid in full. What you saw as ruin, heaven stamped with mercy. The divine ledger is not a record of your shame, it is a testimony of God's faithfulness. Imagine a courtroom. The accuser stands, listing every wrong, every flaw, every missed step. He presents evidence, witnesses, and chains of guilt. But then the judge rises, and in his hand is the ledger of your life. The accuser points to sin, but the judge shows the seal, beloved, redeemed, chosen, and the gavel falls, silencing every voice of condemnation. That is the power of heaven's ledger. The writings in the book of Colossians, chapter 2, verses 13 and 14, reveal this truth. He forgave us all our sins, having cancelled the charge of our legal indebtedness, which stood against us and condemned us. He has taken it away, nailing it to the cross. End quote. This is why heaven shook. Every record that could condemn you was erased. Every accusation that once stood has been silenced. The ledger now carries only one declaration: free. Oh, there was once a man who lived haunted by his past. Each day he remembered the wrong he had done, the people he had hurt, the opportunities he had wasted. To him, his story was finished, a book closed with shame. Yet one night, in prayer, he felt a whisper in his spirit: the ledger has been rewritten. From that moment, he realized that his identity was not his mistakes. It was mercy. And in time, his life became a testimony to others, drowning in guilt. So it is with you. Do not measure yourself by the accusations of the past. The ledger is no longer a record of sin. It is a book of grace. Every line that once spoke against you has been overwritten by the blood of Christ. And where you once saw only darkness, heaven now sees light. Think of a stained glass window. Up close, the glass looks broken. Shards of different colors, cracked and fragile. But when the sun shines through, the brokenness forms a masterpiece. Your life is the same. Each mistake may look like a crack, each failure like a flaw, but heaven's light shines through, turning broken pieces into beauty. And that beauty is forever written in the ledger of God. Chosen one. The divine ledger is a story of exchange. Weakness for strength, guilt for mercy, ashes for crowns. Where the world saw you as unworthy, heaven declared you worthy. And not just worthy to stand, you were deemed worthy to carry glory. That is why your story shakes heaven, because it testifies not of your perfection, but of his redemption. And let this truth sink deep. Your ledger is not hidden away on some distant shelf. It is before the throne, open and alive, declaring every moment of grace over your life. Angels see it. The Father delights in it, and eternity itself cannot erase it. One day, you will stand and hear the words spoken, "Well done." And when you wonder how, when you recall your stumbles and scars, the ledger will be opened again, and you will see not the record of sins, but the testimony of grace. Heaven will roar, earth will stand in awe, and you will know your life was never defined by failure, but by mercy. And understand this, chosen one. Mercy did not merely erase the charges, it wrote a new chapter. Where the enemy tried to place a period, God placed a comma, continuing your story with hope. The ledger of heaven does not only say what you were freed from, it declares what you are stepping into. It is the record of promises unfolding, of victories still to come, of destinies waiting to manifest. Every page testifies that your life is more than a rescue. It is a proclamation of God's glory. So walk with confidence, not in denial of your past, but in the assurance that your past has already been rewritten. The ledger is clear, and heaven still shakes at the sound of your name. Chosen one. Do you see now why the enemy fought so hard to silence you? It was never simply about the pain you endured. It was about your voice. Your words carry power. Your testimony holds keys. Your song disrupts the plans of darkness. This is why battles gathered around you, not because you were weak, but because your voice was dangerous. From the very beginning, silence has been the enemy's strategy. When he cannot destroy, he tries to mute. When he cannot kill, it is too quiet. Because one word spoken from your mouth in alignment with heaven carries more force than 1,000 lies whispered by darkness. Think of the lion in its cage. It may be confined, but the moment it roars, everything around it trembles. That is you. Even when boxed in, even when pressed down, your roar still shakes atmospheres. The enemy knows it. And that is why he has tried to suffocate your sound with discouragement, fear, and shame. The Word of God reminds us in the book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 21, "The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. This truth is why you have felt such warfare over your voice. Because your declarations carry life. Because your prayers shift realities. Because your testimony dismantles chains. Your voice is not ordinary, it is a trumpet that signals heaven's movement and hell's retreat. There was a chosen one who lived through years of silence. Fear gripped her throat. Shame pressed on her chest. And every time she tried to speak, the weight of condemnation held her back. But one day she decided to whisper a prayer, trembling but honest. Lord, I will not be silent anymore. That whisper turned into a song, and that song traveled farther than she ever dreamed. Generations after her were lifted because she chose to speak. So it is with you. Your silence has not been permanent. It has been a battlefield. The very fact that you are still here, still breathing, still able to raise your voice, is proof that the enemy lost. And every word you speak now is repayment against the darkness that tried to bind you. Think of the trumpet in battle. Soldiers may be weary, but one blast of the trumpet rallies strength, gives direction, and terrifies the enemy. Your voice carries that same weight. Every testimony you share is a trumpet blast that cuts through confusion. Every prayer you pray is a signal that heaven is advancing. This is why heaven shook when you refused to stay silent. Even when shame pressed on you, you opened your mouth and declared truth. Even when pain tried to drown you, you chose to sing. Even when fear told you to hide, you whispered prayers that thundered in the heavens, and heaven roared back in agreement. Chosen one, understand this. Your voice is not just for you. It carries liberation for others. There are hearts waiting for your words. Chains waiting for your testimony. Lives waiting for your sound. To stay silent would be to let the enemy win, but you have already proven that silence will not hold you. Your story, your pain, your victories, they are not wasted. They are instruments. Instruments heaven has tuned for this hour. And when you release them, the resonance does more than encourage it, breaks yokes. This is why the enemy fears your voice. And this is why heaven celebrates every sound that escapes your lips. So, keep speaking. Chosen one, keep praying. Keep declaring. Keep singing. Even when it feels small, because every word you release echoes louder than you think. Heaven is listening. Hell is trembling. And the world is waiting. And let me show you something deeper. Chosen one, a seed only fulfills its purpose when it breaks open in silence. It looks lifeless. But once it cracks, once the hidden life inside pushes outward, it becomes a tree that gives shade and fruit. Your voice is that seed. For a season, it lay buried, pressed down, unseen. But every attempt to silence you has only prepared the ground for a greater release. When you speak now, it is not just sound, it is resurrection. Every word carries the weight of battles survived, of nights endured, of victories unseen. And when those words go forth, they plant seeds in others, sparking courage in hearts that thought they could not rise again. This is why silence could not hold you. This is why heaven shook. Chosen one, your voice is proof that darkness never had the final say. Chosen one, do you realize that a crown has already been prepared for you? It is not a fragile ornament made of gold that can tarnish or be stolen. It is a crown forged in fire, built From every trial you have endured, every scar you have carried, every moment you refused to surrender when giving up would have been easier, heaven has not forgotten your perseverance. Each step you took through the valley was another jewel set in your crown. Each scar became a story. Each tear became a gem. And one day, when the King himself places it upon your head, you will understand that nothing you endured was wasted. The Apostle John records in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 11, I am coming soon. Hold on to what you have, so that no one will take your crown. This promise is for you, your longing, your endurance, your hidden faithfulness. All of it points toward a crown already waiting. And this crown is not just a symbol of honor. It is evidence that your fight has meaning, that your scars were not in vain. There was a woman who endured relentless storms. Her body bore scars of sickness. Her soul carried wounds of rejection. Her path was filled with obstacles. Yet she did not let go of her faith. At the end of her journey, she realized the crown was not only for her endurance, but for the way her endurance inspired others. The very pain that once seemed senseless had become the testimony that built crowns in other lives. So it is with you. Your scars are not ugly, they are evidence. They prove you survived what was meant to destroy you. They prove you held on when others let go. They prove heaven has already crafted your inheritance. And now I invite you to declare it openly. Write in the comments, life after scars. These 3 words are more than a phrase, they are your proclamation. They mean your scars no longer define your pain. They define your victory. They remind you, and every watching spirit, that what once wounded you now testifies for you. Chosen one. This is why heaven shook. Because while the enemy tried to mark you with shame, God was already shaping a crown. While the world saw scars, heaven saw jewels. While you felt broken, heaven declared you radiant. So lift your head, walk with dignity, not because the world applauds, but because heaven has prepared your seat and your crown, and every step you take now is a rehearsal for the day the King himself places it upon you. Chosen one. Pause and reflect on this truth. Crowns are not given in comfort. They are forged in conflict. Every battle you endured was not random. It was shaping the weight of glory you will one day carry. This is why your crown will fit no one else's head. It was made for you, molded by your journey, perfected by your endurance. Think of a blacksmith hammering metal over fire. The sparks fly. The heat is unbearable, and the metal bends under pressure. To the untrained eye, it looks like destruction. But in the blacksmith's hand, it is formation. That is your story. Every trial was a hammer. Every tear was fire. And every moment you felt bent out of shape was preparation for a crown uniquely yours. And do not miss this. Your crown is not just about reward. It is about testimony. Others will see you crowned and realize that scars do not disqualify. They beautify. Your crown will preach without words that survival is not the end. It is the beginning of glory. When Revelation says, hold on to what you have, so that no one will take your crown, it is both a warning and a promise. The warning is that distraction, compromise, or despair can cause you to lose sight of your inheritance. The promise is that if you endure, if you cling to what is true, no force on earth or in hell can rob you of what heaven has secured. So when you declare, life after scars. You are not only speaking over your own soul, you are aligning with eternity's record. You are reminding your spirit that the scars on your body, the cracks in your heart, the wounds in your memory are no longer marks of shame, but signs of life. They prove you lived. You endured. You overcame. And they whisper of the crown that awaits you. Chosen one. Let this vision settle deep. The day will come when the King himself will lift your chin, place the crown upon your head, and the roar of heaven will thunder. This one endured. This one conquered. This one is crowned. And in that moment, every scar will glow with glory. Every tear will shine like crystal. And you will understand why heaven shook the moment you chose to keep going. Chosen one. Your scars shine as weapons. You once looked at them as signs of defeat, proof that the battles nearly destroyed you. But heaven sees them differently. Scars are not signs of weakness. They are evidence that wounds healed, that battles were endured, that pain could not prevail. And in the hands of God, your scars become instruments of war against the very darkness that caused them. Think of a tree struck by lightning. At first glance, the scar running down its trunk looks like ruin. But look again, that scar is proof the tree still stands. It is living testimony that the storm did not win. In time, the very mark of lightning becomes the strongest part of the wood. That is you, chosen one. What you thought disqualified you has only made you unshakable. The Apostle Paul spoke of this mystery when he wrote to the Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Your scars are not just memories, they are mirrors reflecting grace. They tell the world, here is where I bled, but here is also where I was healed. And when others see them, they find courage to believe healing is possible for them too. But let me tell you something deeper. Your scars terrify hell. Demons remember the battles they launched against you, the traps they set, the nights they whispered, "This will break them." And yet here you stand, scarred but breathing, marked but moving forward. Your scars are proof of their defeat. Every time you testify, every time you lift your head, those scars shine like swords in the unseen. Chosen one. This is why I speak gently but boldly to you now. If these words stir your spirit, I ask you to help carry them further. Like and share. It is like lighting a torch from your own flame and passing it to another traveler, so the road no longer feels lonely. Subscribe. It is planting your roots beside a flowing river, so you are never cut off from the water that gives life. And if your heart feels stirred, donate only if you choose. For it is not a price to pay, but a seed to sow. It is like placing a brick in a bridge. Others will cross safely because of what you built. Or like pouring oil into a lighthouse lamp, so ships lost at sea can find their way home. For some, giving may feel like dropping a stone into a river, small, almost unnoticed. But when that stone falls, ripples spread wide, touching distant shores you cannot see. So it is with your gift. What feels small to you becomes a ripple of hope across nations, across generations. And if you cannot give financially, remember this: your prayers, your comments, your presence are all seeds too. Each one carries weight. Each one sustains the light. You are never excluded from this work, because heaven counts the heart, not the amount. There was once a chosen one who thought her scars made her useless, but when she dared to speak, when she showed others where she had been wounded, it became the very proof that healing was possible. People who thought they were alone found hope through her honesty, and one by one, they too began to heal. Her scars, once silent, became weapons of mercy. So it will be with you. Your scars are not wasted. They are crowns forged in fire, swords sharpened by endurance, testimonies written in your skin, and the more you share your light, the more your scars will shine, not just for you, but for countless others still waiting to rise. Chosen one, let your scars gleam without shame. They are proof that you cannot be broken. And as you allow this message to spread, you are not just remembering your own healing, you are becoming a healer for many. Heaven is already roaring at your endurance, and now, earth will feel the warmth of your flame. And never forget, chosen one, scars are not the end of your story. They are the ink God chose to write new chapters with. Each line on your soul, each mark on your journey, tells of battles that could not keep you down. And when you step forward, you carry with you living proof that endurance outlives pain. Others will see your scars and discover their own courage. They will say, "If this one rose again, so can I." That is why your scars shine, why heaven celebrates, and why earth will never be the same because of the testimony you bear. Chosen one, do you know that heaven has assigned messengers to your life? You have not walked alone. Even in the nights you thought you were abandoned, angels have walked with you, whispering strength into your weary soul, standing guard at the edge of battles you never even saw. There were times you should have been destroyed, times when the weight was too heavy, when danger circled close, when despair pressed in like a suffocating fog, yet you survived, and not by chance. Heaven had already stationed its warriors around you. Their presence did not always feel visible, but their impact was undeniable. Think of a soldier standing watch at night. The camp sleeps in silence, unaware of the threats that lurk in the darkness. The soldier sees what they cannot, hears what they miss, and holds his ground so the people can rest. That has been the work of the angels over your life. They have stood guard, watchful and unwavering, ensuring that the storms which came against you did not destroy you. The Word of God in the book of Psalms, chapter 91, verses 11 and 12, says this, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone." Isno, do you realize how powerful that promise is? Even your smallest step is noticed. Even the little stones along your path are under heaven's care. That is how precise God's love for you is. He did not send angels only for great battles, but even for the small, fragile steps when you thought you were stumbling. There was once a man who walked through years of danger. He traveled roads filled with thieves, passed through towns that rejected him, faced enemies who plotted against his life. And yet, he always emerged alive. He often wondered, why do I keep surviving what others did not? In time, he realized it was not luck, it was divine protection. The messengers of heaven had been walking beside him all along, lifting him when he fell, shielding him when attacks rose, guiding him through the shadows. So it is with you. Those accidents you narrowly escaped, those moments you felt an unseen strength, lifting you. Those sudden waves of peace in times of panic, all of it was heaven's messengers at work. They were not random comforts, they were intentional interventions. Think of your life as a journey through a vast wilderness. The path is rough, the night is long, and wild beasts prowl at the edges. Yet every time danger drew close, something shifted. A door closed. A thought came. A person appeared. Or peace suddenly wrapped around you. That was not coincidence. That was the echo of angelic footsteps, keeping pace with your own. Chosen one. Heaven whispers through its messengers, even when you do not recognize the voice. That sudden nudge to stop before a wrong decision. That gentle reminder that you are loved when despair screams otherwise. That sense of safety in the middle of chaos. These are not illusions. They are heaven's way of reminding you, you are not alone. And let this truth sink deep. Your angels are not temporary companions. They are assigned to you for the long road. They will not abandon you halfway, nor will they retreat when the battle grows fierce. They remain until the purpose written over your life is complete. So, walk forward with courage, not because you are immune to hardship, but because you are never unguarded. Heaven's messengers have declared over your destiny, and their presence ensures that no weapon formed against you can prosper. Chosen one, lift your head and breathe, for though your eyes may not see them, though your ears may not hear them, the whispers of heaven's messengers surround you still, and heaven itself shakes each time they declare over you, this one is chosen, this one will endure, this one will rise. And remember this, chosen one, angels are not distant figures from old stories. They are active participants in your journey right now. When you sleep, they keep watch. When you stumble, they lift. When you weep, they stand near with silent strength. They are like hidden pillars holding up a temple. You rarely see them. Yet without them, the whole structure would collapse. So the very fact you are still here, still breathing, still pressing on, is proof of their assignment over your life. Their whispers may be quiet, but their impact resounds in eternity. Heaven has not left you unguarded, and every day you live is evidence of that divine covering. Chosen one. Do you feel the fire that has been placed within you? It is not the fire of ordinary passion, nor the fleeting spark of human will. It is prophetic fire, a seal of heaven that rests upon your spirit, branding you as one set apart, one who carries light into the darkest places. This fire cannot be quenched by storms. It cannot be drowned by tears. It cannot be buried by silence. Even when you thought it had died out, it still burned quietly inside you, waiting for the breath of God to fan it into flame again. Think of a coal buried in ashes. To the eye, it looks cold, forgotten, useless. But one breath of wind reveals the ember still glows, waiting to ignite again. That is you, chosen one. Though covered by seasons of waiting, though pressed down by sorrow, your ember never died. Heaven itself guarded the flame until the moment of unveiling. The prophet Haggai declared in chapter 2, verse 9, "The glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former house, says the Lord Almighty. And in this place I will grant peace." No, do you hear it? What lies ahead is not smaller, it is greater. What is rising within you is more glorious than what came before. And this seal of prophetic fire is proof that the best days of your story are not behind you, they are unfolding now. There was once a young woman who endured years of silence. She felt hidden, forgotten, left behind. Yet in her waiting, God was shaping her heart. One day, without warning, the fire within her burst forth. Her words carried weight. Her prayers carried fire. Her life became a torch. Others followed out of darkness. The years of silence had not stolen her flame, they had only made it hotter. So it is with you. Your prophetic fire has been preserved for this hour. The battles you faced, the tears you shed, the loneliness you carried, all of it was fuel for the flame. And now, as you step forward, that fire will not only light your path, it will ignite others too. Chosen one, I invite you to declare this seal openly. Write in the comments, 555, not as a random number, but as a prophetic act. 5 is often seen as a number of grace. And here it is, tripled, multiplied, overflowing. By writing 555, you are declaring, grace has sealed me. Grace fuels my fire. Grace carries me into the greater glory ahead. Oh, do not underestimate this act. It is not about digits, it is about alignment. When you type it, you are agreeing with heaven's fire over your life. You are stamping your spirit with the truth. My ember still burns. My flame is alive. My future is greater. And one day, you will look back and see how every hidden ember, every whispered prayer, every quiet act of endurance became the very fuel that turned you into a blazing torch. Heaven shakes when you rise, because your fire is not ordinary, it is prophetic. Chosen one, pause and let this truth sink in. Fire is not only light, it is also transformation. Wood placed in a fire does not leave unchanged. It is consumed, reshaped, and released as heat that warms others. Your life has walked through fire not to destroy you, but to transform you into a vessel that carries warmth, illumination, and power. The prophetic flame on your life is not simply for show, it is for impact. Think of the blacksmith's forge. Iron is thrust into blazing heat until it glows. Then, under the hammer's strike, it bends and reshapes into a weapon or a tool. That is what your seasons of trial have done. The fire has softened you. The strikes have shaped you. And now you are not fragile. You are strong, purposeful, and precise. And remember this, prophetic fire is never selfish. It burns within you. Yes, but its purpose is to spread. When your flame shines, it lights paths for those in shadow. When your fire warms, it brings life to those who feel frozen in despair. When your prophetic voice rises, it ignites dormant embers in others who thought their fire had died. This is why heaven treasures the flame you carry. Because it is not only for you, it is for multitudes. So when you declare 555, you are not just claiming grace over yourself, you are agreeing with heaven that your fire will be multiplied, that it will leap from your life into others, that it will continue to burn long after storms have passed. The seal of prophetic fire on you is heaven's guarantee that what you carry cannot be extinguished. Chosen one, let us look into the mirror of your identity. For too long, when you gazed at your reflection, all you saw were weaknesses, flaws, and wounds. You saw the cracks, the broken places, the imperfections, and thought they disqualified you. But heaven looks at you differently. What you consider weakness, heaven calls weaponry. What you dismiss as limitation, God has designed as strategy. Consider the story of Moses. When called to lead a nation, he pointed to his stutter as proof that he was unworthy. He said, "I am slow of speech." Yet heaven chose him precisely because of that stutter. Why? Because what the world saw as weakness, God used as evidence of divine power. When Moses spoke, even haltingly, it was clear the authority did not come from human eloquence. It came from the voice of the Almighty. So it is with you. The very things you have tried to hide, the aspects of yourself that you thought made you unusable, have become the stage where heaven's glory shines brightest. Your reflection may look ordinary, but in the eyes of eternity, it gleams with purpose. Think of a cracked clay jar. Light placed inside does not escape through smooth, flawless surfaces. It shines through the cracks. The very fractures in the jar allow light to pour out. Your life is that jar. The broken pieces you wish you could erase are the very channels through which light escapes, illuminating others who sit in darkness. The Apostle Paul spoke of this mystery in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 7. But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. No, this is your mirror. You are not defined by perfection. You are defined by the treasure within, and the cracks, the weaknesses, the scars. They are not liabilities. They are testimonies that the light you carry is real, that it flows from a source greater than yourself. There was once a young man who looked at his reflection and saw only failure. His past haunted him. His mistakes seemed endless. Yet, when he surrendered those very weaknesses, heaven transformed them into a testimony. His story began to inspire others, not because he was flawless, but because he was real. His honesty became a sword. His transparency became a shield for those afraid to face their own reflection. Chosen one. Do not despise what you see in the mirror, for heaven does not flinch at your cracks. It designed them to shine. Your voice, though it trembles, still carries weight. Your heart, though scarred, still beats with compassion stronger than before. Your past, though marked with mistakes, has become a map for others searching for the way home. Think of stained glass. From the outside, it may appear broken shards of different shapes, sharp edges held together. But when the sun pours through, the broken glass becomes a masterpiece of color and light. That is you, your life, pieced together by mercy, shines most beautifully when heaven's light floods through. The mirror of your identity is not meant to show you shame, it is meant to show you grace. It reminds you that you are not chosen in spite of your flaws, you are chosen with them. And those flaws, surrendered to God, become holy weapons against darkness. Compassion forged from pain can break chains more effectively than polished words. Kindness, born out of rejection, can heal wounds more deeply than empty encouragement. Chosen one. When you see yourself, look again. Heaven's mirror reveals a warrior shaped by weakness, a vessel glowing with treasure, a testimony written in scars. Your identity is not a list of what you lack. It is a story of how heaven takes the weak and makes them strong. And every time you dare to believe this truth, heaven shakes with joy. Because your reflection finally aligns with what was written all along. You are chosen, cracks and all. And let this be clear. Chosen one, mirrors on earth often lie, but heaven's mirror never does. The enemy wants you to see only fragments, only brokenness, only weakness. Yet when God looks at you, he sees his reflection shining back. He sees a vessel already carrying victory, a jar already filled with treasure, a stained glass window already prepared for his light. So the next time you face the mirror, do not lower your eyes. Lift your head, for every crack you see is a testimony waiting to shine. And heaven rejoices each time you recognize the beauty within. Chosen one. Creation itself has been waiting for your rise. This is not poetry, it is truth written into the very fabric of the world. The earth groans, the skies shift, the seas stir, all in anticipation of the revealing of the sons and daughters of God. Your journey is not isolated, it is woven into the longing of creation itself. The Apostle Paul wrote these words in Romans, chapter 8, verse 19. For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. Oh, do you understand the magnitude of this? The forests, the mountains, the stars, they lean forward in anticipation of your unveiling. The weight of destiny on your life is not small, because when you rise, you do not rise alone. The world shifts with you. Think of a sunrise. Long before the light breaks, the earth stirs. Birds begin to sing. The air grows warmer. Shadows stretch thinner. Creation anticipates the dawn. You are that dawn. Chosen one. Your rising has already begun to change the atmosphere around you, even in your hidden seasons. The earth has been humming with expectation. There was once a man who felt his life was insignificant. He worked quietly, unnoticed, enduring battles that no one seemed to care about. Yet, when the time came for him to step forward, everything changed. His words carried weight. His presence shifted rooms, and his life became a rallying point for others. What he thought was small had been shaping history all along. Creation had been waiting for his rise. And when it came, the ripple spread wide. So it is with you. Every step you take forward fulfills something larger than yourself. Your obedience sets creation free. Your prayers break chains, not only in hearts, but in atmospheres. Your very presence, aligned with God's purpose, disrupts darkness and awakens hope. Think of a seed in the soil. While buried, it looks powerless, surrounded by dirt. Yet underground, roots push deep, and life stirs. When the seed finally breaks the surface, it does not rise alone. The soil shifts, the air changes, the environment adjusts. Creation celebrates its arrival. This is the picture of your journey. What felt like burial was actually preparation. And now, as you emerge, the world around you begins to move in response. Chosen one. You have felt small, but your rising is cosmic. It is not only about your life, it is about alignment. When you step into your identity, creation itself realigns with its creator. This is why your destiny has faced resistance, because when you move, everything moves. The enemy knows this. That is why storms rose against you. That is why battles pressed so fiercely. It was never only about silencing you, It was about halting the ripple that your life creates. But darkness has failed. You are still here, and creation still waits. Leaning forward in eager anticipation, think of music. A symphony may pause in silence, the audience holding its breath. Everyone waits for the next note to fall, because they know it will change everything. That pause is where you have been, but heaven's baton is lifting, and the next note, your note, is about to resound. When it does, creation will rise in harmony with you. Chosen one, your rise is not accidental. It is written. The earth itself has recorded your coming in its longing. The heavens have echoed with your name in anticipation. And when you fully step forward, it will not only mark your breakthrough, it will ignite renewal in places that have been waiting, aching, longing for the sound of your obedience. Lift your heart, for the groan of creation is not despair, it is expectation. The earth knows what you carry, and heaven celebrates it already. The time of unveiling draws near, and the ripple of your rising will be felt far beyond what your eyes can see. Chosen one. Imagine the earth like a stage prepared for generations. The curtains have long been drawn, the lights waiting, the audience leaning forward, and you, yes, you are part of the moment. Creation has been anticipating. That is why you often felt the weight of pressure, the pull of destiny, the ache of waiting. It was not meaningless. It was the groan of creation calling you to step into your role. And when you rise, it will not be quiet, like thunder after silence, like blossoms after winter. Your revealing will signal change. Mountains will echo, valleys will shift, hearts will awaken. Creation has always known who you are, even when you doubted it yourself. And now, heaven and earth together stand ready for the unveiling of what has been hidden within you. Chosen one. The verdict over your life has already been spoken. It is not shaky. It is not temporary. It is not subject to the opinions of men. It is unshakable. Heaven has declared, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. No curse will take root. No storm can erase the crown prepared for you. That verdict cannot be revoked. You may have walked through seasons where voices around you said otherwise. They called you unworthy, unprepared, or too broken to rise. Yet heaven never echoed their words. The court of eternity already spoke. Chosen, protected, crowned. That is the unshakable verdict hanging over your story. The prophet Isaiah spoke in chapter 54, verse 17, "No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord." Chosen one. This is your inheritance. Vindication is not something you have to beg, for it is already sealed. The weapons that were raised against you, the storms that tried to drown you, the voices that accused you, they will all fall silent before the decree of heaven. Think of a mountain carved by centuries of wind and rain. Storms pound, floods arise, lightning strikes, yet the mountain still stands. Its scars are proof of the battles it endured, but its foundation is immovable. That is you. The storms came, but they did not move you. The verdict of God is your foundation, and no storm has the power to undo what He has declared. And now, chosen one, let me speak gently to your heart. If this message strengthens you, let it not stay with you alone. Like and share. It is as though you are planting a tree in barren soil. Its shade, waiting to comfort travelers you may never meet. Subscribe not as duty, but as building a well in your own desert, so that refreshment flows to you again and again in dry seasons. And if your spirit stirs to go further, donate, not because you owe, not because you are pressured, but because it is like laying a stone in a cathedral wall. Alone, it may look small, but together with others, it builds a sanctuary where countless souls can find refuge. Or it is like releasing a bird into the sky. Your gift flies farther than you, carrying hope to places your feet may never touch. Even a simple comment becomes powerful. Words you release can echo into another's weary heart. When you leave your voice here, it is like placing a candle in a long hallway. Someone coming after you will see it and know they are not walking alone. Remember this, none of these actions are obligations. They are invitations. Just as the mountain does not beg the rain to fall, yet still welcomes it when it comes, so too this work grows stronger through voluntary hearts. The choice is always yours, and in the freedom of that choice lies its beauty. There was once a man who gave what he thought was small, just a single seed, into the soil. Years later, he returned to find a tree standing tall, its branches wide, et fruits abondants, feeding many. He realized the seed had outlived him, multiplying beyond his reach. That is the mystery of every act freely given. It carries more weight than you can imagine. So, chosen one, the verdict over your life stands, unshakable, irrevocable, crowned. And when you join that verdict with acts of faith, whether a like, a share, a word, or a gift, you are not paying a debt. You are sowing into echoes that will outlast you. You are writing your agreement into the eternal story. Lift your heart with peace. Heaven has already spoken. Hell cannot overturn it. And every step you take now, every seed you plant, every word you release becomes another testimony of the verdict that nothing and no one can revoke your crown. And let this be your comfort. Chosen one, when heaven's gavel has already struck, no voice on earth can reverse it. The decree over you is eternal, echoing louder than failure, stronger than fear, deeper than doubt. Every generous act you choose, whether it is a word, a seed, a prayer, is simply your way of saying, I agree with the verdict. And that agreement multiplies. It becomes like rivers flowing from a mountain spring, watering fields you may never see, yet still bearing fruit in seasons to come. Your crown is secure, your destiny unshakable, and your legacy already reaching farther than your steps. Chosen one, there was a moment when you stood one step away from collapse. The weight was unbearable, the silence deafening, and your spirit cried out for relief. You may not have realized it then, but mercy stormed in like thunder. Grace did not arrive timidly, it rushed in with force, interrupting the plan of destruction, lifting you when your knees gave way. You were closer to breaking than you cared to admit. The enemy had prepared chains. The pit was dug. The darkness leaned over you, ready to swallow. Yet in that very moment, mercy stepped in. It was not because you were strong enough to resist, but because heaven refused to let you go. The ancient words recorded in the Book of Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 22, remind us of this. Because of the Lord's great love we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. That is your story. You were not consumed. Though everything tried to consume you, you were not destroyed. Though destruction stood waiting, compassion wrapped itself around you like a shield, refusing to let the fire finish its work. Think of a soldier on the battlefield, wounded and lying in the dust. Enemies close in. The end seems inevitable, but then a rescuer charges in, lifting the soldier onto his shoulders, carrying him out of danger. That rescuer is mercy. That is what heaven did for you. It did not wait for you to heal yourself. It carried you when you could not move. There was once a woman who thought her life was over. Loss surrounded her. Shame crushed her. And despair whispered that ending it all was easier. But in the stillness of her darkest night, she felt a presence like a hand lifting her chin. She could not explain it, but she survived that night. Years later, she realized it was mercy, divine compassion refusing to let destruction win. So it was with you. You may not have seen the hand, but you felt the shift. The moment when hope sparked out of nowhere, the sudden peace that came when you should have drowned in fear, the open door that appeared when every path was closed. That was mercy's thunder, breaking into your storm. Chosen one, your survival is not an accident. The fact that you are still breathing, still walking, still pressing forward, is evidence that heaven fought for you when you could not fight for yourself. Grace stormed the battlefield. Mercy silenced the enemy's gavel. Compassion shielded you from final collapse. Think of fire threatening to consume a forest. The flames rage. Heat rises. Smoke fills the air. And then suddenly, a storm sweeps in, rain pouring, winds shifting, fire pushed back. That is what mercy did in your life. Where destruction thought it had the last word, heaven interrupted with thunder and rain. This moment matters because it proves something. You are not standing today because you were flawless, or because you never fell. You are standing because mercy would not let you fall beyond recovery. Grace does not applaud perfection, it rescues brokenness. And you, chosen one, are proof of that rescue. Let this truth take root. You are not alive by coincidence. You are alive by intervention. Mercy stepped in. Compassion carried you. Grace stormed the battlefield and claimed you as its own. One day, when you look back with clearer eyes, you will see it all. You will recognize the night's mercy stayed by your bed. The morning's compassion whispered you, awake. The day's grace walked beside you, unseen. And when you see it, you will understand why heaven shook at your survival, because your story is not one of destruction, but of divine interruption. Chosen one, hold this close to your heart. You are living proof that mercy still storms in like thunder, that grace still rescues, that compassion still wins. And as long as you breathe, your very existence testifies, collapse did not claim you, because heaven refused to let you go. And never forget this. Chosen one, what mercy did for you was not only for that moment, it was a declaration over your future. The same thunder that broke into your past still echoes ahead of you. The storms that come will meet the same hand that lifted you before. The pits dug for you will be filled before you fall. Every time despair waits at your door, compassion will answer first. You are not merely surviving, you are walking under the continual shield of divine love. And that love will not fade, will not fail, will not abandon. Heaven has already proven that it will intervene again and again until your purpose is complete. Chosen one, the story of your journey does not end in shadows, nor in the silence of battles fought alone. It ends crowned for eternity, not a crown given by the hands of men, which can fade, tarnish, or be stolen, but a crown placed upon you by the eternal King, shining with the weight of every tear endured, every step of faith taken, every whisper of obedience released. The world may never have celebrated your scars, but heaven has counted them as jewels. The nights you thought wasted became the silver woven into your crown. The prayers you thought unheard became its gold. The faith you held when no one else saw became its glory. This crown is not ornamental, it is the eternal record of your victory. The Apostle Peter once spoke of this crown in his first letter, chapter 5, verse 4. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that will never fade away. Of chosen one, do you see? What you carry into eternity cannot fade. Empires rise and fall. Names written in history are forgotten. But the crown heaven places on you will shine without end. Its brilliance is not borrowed. It was forged in your faithfulness, sealed in God's promises, and secured by Christ's triumph. Think of a runner who stumbles again and again, but still crosses the finish line. The crowd does not remember the falls, only the victory of finishing. That is you. The scars of your falls will not be remembered as failure, but as proof of endurance, and your finish is not only survival, it is triumph, crowned with glory. There was once a man who spent his life unnoticed, serving quietly, carrying burdens no one saw. Many thought his life insignificant, but when he passed from this world, the heavens erupted, angels gathered, witnesses cheered, and the King himself placed a crown on his head. The earth may not have known his name, but eternity shouted it with joy. That is the kind of ending heaven has written for you. Your crown is not only about reward, it is about testimony. It tells the story of storms that could not break you, of battles that could not silence you, of darkness that could not consume your light. Each jewel gleams with memory, the night you prayed instead of quitting, the day you forgave when bitterness seemed easier, the moment you chose faith instead of despair. Heaven does not forget, and neither does your crown. Chosen one, eternity itself leans forward to see you crowned, not because of wealth, not because of fame, but because of faith. The unseen record of your perseverance will one day be unveiled as eternal glory. And when the King places the crown upon you, the roar of heaven will not simply celebrate a victory, it will declare the justice of God. That every hidden tear has been answered, every unseen sacrifice honored, every quiet act remembered. So walk forward without fear. You are not wandering aimlessly, you are heading toward coronation. Your crown is secure. Your victory is sealed. Your story is eternal. And when you finally stand in that moment, with the weight of glory upon your head and the echo of heaven's roar surrounding you, you will know, beyond all doubt, every battle was worth it. Every scar had meaning. Every step carried eternal significance. Chosen one, crowned for eternity, that is your destiny, your inheritance, your forever identity. And let this truth go deep into your heart. Chosen one, the crown you will wear is not only placed on you, It is a reflection of the one who walked with you. Every jewel glitters because he carried you through nights you thought would end you. Every thread of gold gleams because his mercy never failed. When eternity crowns you, it is not just celebrating your strength, it is magnifying his faithfulness through your life. Think of a crown displayed in a great hall. Visitors marvel at its beauty, but its true glory lies in the story behind it, the battles won, the victories sealed, the endurance proven. Your eternal crown will be the same. Its beauty will not only shine in heaven's light, but also proclaim your story. Once broken, now restored, once silenced, now singing, once pressed down, now raised in everlasting glory. And do not forget, this crown is not fragile like earthly honors. It does not tarnish with time, nor fade with years. It cannot be stolen, misplaced, or forgotten. It will shine forever, because it is made from eternity's own material faith, grace, mercy, and love. So lift your eyes. See beyond the pain of the present moment. Your journey has been long. Your trials have been fierce. But the end is radiant. When you are crowned for eternity, every question will find its answer, every tear its purpose, every scar its glory. This is the destiny heaven wrote for you from the beginning. Chosen one, you have walked through every page of this message, and heaven has spoken over you again and again. You are not forgotten. You are not ordinary, and you are not alone. The shaking you felt was not destruction. It was heaven's applause over your endurance, over your scars, over your rising. Now, as we close, I want to leave you with an invitation, not a demand, not a condition, but a chance to participate in the flow of what heaven is already doing. Like and share. It is like opening a window in a dark house, letting the light stream into rooms you may never enter yourself. Subscribe. It is planting a seed in your own soil, ensuring that reminders of truth and fire continue to water your heart when you need it most. And if your spirit stirs, donate, not out of pressure, but as a beautiful act of trust. It is like pouring oil into a lamp that has already guided your steps, so that its flame may burn brighter for others still lost in the night. Even the smallest drop of oil matters, for it ensures that the light does not go out. Finally, your comment is more powerful than you think. A single sentence from you may be the candle someone else needs to keep walking. When you add your voice, you are building a trail of light for others to follow. Chosen one. The story does not end here. Your crown is waiting. Your fire is alive. Your destiny is sealed. Let your next step be one of agreement with heaven, with your purpose, and with the community of light rising beside you.